Hey everybody, time for my top 10 albums of all time. Picking the 10 albums was pretty easy, but placing them in the appropriate order was a little tougher, but I went with my heart. I think I got it down. Basically, all these albums go back to being discovered in my teenage years, with a couple exceptions, which might go up to my early 20s at the latest, and that's it. But that's when music imprints you. It means the most to you. And many of these albums I have purchased multiple times, whether it was damaged or lost, or I sold it and then rebought it. Some of them I might have purchased on iTunes, got a new computer, lost the file, purchased it again on iTunes, before finally getting it on CD one day. So here we go. We'll start with number 10, Twilight of the Gods by Bathory. This is 1991, Black Mark Productions. I'm definitely one of those guys that prefers Viking era Bathory. They're just special albums that I try not to overplay. It's going to be something that maybe if I travel, I'll bring that along with me. If I got something that I just want to remember that day, because, if you're a music freak like me, and you probably are, music's a soundtrack to your life, and you just want to imprint something in you, a special day, I bring this along. Favorite song on here is probably the opener, the epic title track, Twilight of the Gods, one of my favorite guitar solos. I love Quorthon's guitar playing, just a little bit of flash, but a whole lot of feel. Very underrated, and my top 10 album. Number 9, Isis Panopticon. This is the third full-length Isis album, came out in 2004, and my personal favorite. The same way Oceanic has a kind of floating in the ocean feel, this has a floating in air feel. Not a concept album about the air by any means, but that angle is definitely there. Extremely heavy, but extremely blissful at the same time. No one quite does it like Isis. Kind of samey throughout, but it helps the effect of the album. The vocals kind of stick out, kind of clash with the music a bit. They're so harsh, and again, the music is uplifting in its heaviness, but it all works out. Number 9, Panopticon. Number 8, Tiamat, Wild Honey. This album came out 1994, 1995, around the time I was getting into heavy music. This came out on Century Media. And I think this was, for many years, the highest selling Century Media album, although I'm sure that's long over now. Hard to pick just a couple favorites, but The Closer, Pocket Sized Sun, Gaia, Whatever That Hurts. My number 1's probably Visionaire, another one of my favorite solos, and a masterpiece as a whole. Number 7 is one of the oddball slots in my top 10. We're going to go with Twin Ale Blood by Pyogenesis. Pyogenesis started off as a German death metal band, but slowly commercialized, all the way to becoming, I believe, basically a pop punk band. But this is right in the sweet point, right in the middle. I'd say metal meets alternative rock of the 90s, although I'm actually going to say this is more heavy alternative with some harsh vocals, more than really having much in common with classic metal. The first 5 songs here, Undead, Twin Ale Blood, Weeping Sun, Every Single Day, Abstract Life. I like the whole thing, but some of the stronger songs near the end are Snakehole, Soup of Venus, God Complex. This has definitely been regarded as a little bit of a lost classic. Haven't heard too much Pyogenesis. I used to have one of their death metal EPs, and I sold that off. And I never really listened to anything more recent. But I think they're pretty big in Germany. And I don't know what they're doing now, to be honest with you. But this album stays in the rotation. Number 6, Emperor, Anthems to the Welkin at Dusk. This might be my most played metal album. It's just one of those ones like, I need something for the car. Don't want to really be thinking about something new. Just grab a classic. That is the go-to. I guess my only complaint, like, people complain about the production, and I have nothing to complain about with the sound. But it's missing some mystique that most other black metal classics have, and I don't know why that is. But again, like Prime Emperor, it just the performances are amazing, the songwriting is amazing, never gets old. It's hard to even pick my favorite tracks on here. I'll always be a little bit sentimental about Thus Spake the Night Spirit, the first Emperor song I ever heard. The closing instrumental piece, The Wanderer, amazing, and the instrumental opening, The Oath, amazing. But we're also going to call out With Strength I Burn. 1997 on Candlelight. Okay, top 5 time. Number 5, Hammerheart by Bathory. So Bathory have 2 entries in my top 10. This is my favorite Bathory album. It's perfect, but starting off with Shores and Flames, Valhalla, Baptized in Fire and Ice is one of my favorite Bathory songs for sure. The closer, One Road to Assa Bay. Everyone loves that song. Probably the most epic metal album of all time. Number 4, La Masquerade Infernale by Arturus. This sound came out in 1997 on Misanthropy. And I got that, well, it was actually weird because maybe just 1 year later, I was maybe 15, 16 years old, and I found this in like a discount used CD bin at the local video store, and I'd seen this in the magazines. I was like, wow, I can't believe that. And I got it, and I don't even know how to begin describing this album. I guess it's got its roots in black metal, but very classically influenced, extremely weird, a lot of electronics. It's the best weird metal album ever. Again, we're going way back to 1997, way ahead of its time, never gets old, entertaining throughout. It's hard to pick favorites. Again, you gotta just let this one ride, but the closer of Nails and Sinners and the Chaos Path. Let's go with those two. Number 3, Lake of Tears, A Crimson Cosmos. 1997 on Black Mark. I'm finding that quite a few of these albums are kind of going to the late 90s. And another Black Mark Productions entry. This edition I have here, I think, is from Korea. But I first heard the song Devil's Diner on a sampler back in 1997. And I thought it was a weird but cool song. And then it would take several years before I downloaded this album. And it's just been a comfy place for me. That's just stayed in my rotation ever since then. Just the first minute of this album, the opening minute of the song Boogie Bubble, it just takes me right back to what I love about late 90s metal music, at least the way I think of it. This is a Swedish band. They're still around to this day. I definitely heard all the albums. Like, they put out one, I think, this year, and I was like, cool, but didn't really go back to it. The one after this, Forever Autumn, is very mellow, but I like that. Moonlight and Mushrooms or something, that's a pretty good one. But I'm getting off topic here. Yeah, we're gonna go with, you know what, the whole thing. This is a masterpiece. What is it? Prog rock meets metal. Not really extreme, even though this band seems to have its origins in atmospheric Swedish death metal. But check this one out if you haven't. Number 2, Trouble, Manic Frustration. This came out on Deaf American in 1992. I find a lot of people like the self-titled album better, but I'm definitely a Manic Frustration guy. Come Touch the Sky, Excuse Me, The Sleeper, Fear, Rain, Tragedy Man, Memory's Garden. I'm naming the whole thing here. The Closer, Breathe, that's always been a special song for me. Mr. White, again, my number 2 album of all time. Can't Go Wrong. Best Trouble album. So my number 1, I think I gotta go with A Deeper Kind of Slumber by Tiamat. Ever since I heard the song Cold Seed on a sampler when I was pretty young, I was always intrigued by this album. Downloaded it as soon as my family got the internet, and eventually got around to getting the CD. My favorites are Only in My Tears at Last, Mount Marilyn, and Atlantis as a Lover. Just very psychedelic, drug-influenced. I'm not even going to call this metal, even though they have their roots in the metal world. What year was this? Another 1997 entry. That seems to be my year. If you haven't seen it, I did make a video dedicated to Tiamat's Wild Honey and A Deeper Kind of Slumber. It's in my Check These Out videos if you are interested. And those are my top 50 albums of all time. Thanks for watching them, and I will see you next time. Thank you.